Sometimes TV ratings just don't tell you the whole picture. But the numbers I have this morning do tell a pretty interesting story about the recent shakeup at Fox News. And get this, Tucker Carlson is more popular than the cable news channel that just fired him this week. Fox has been able to weather a lot over the years and keep its place at the top of the ratings chart pretty successfully. It was Bill O'Reilly's departure about 7 years ago that actually gave Tucker his shot at prime time. Will Fox weather this? Here are some numbers, so you can be the judge. Fox News is viewed at least somewhat favorably by 52%, but only 24% have a very favorable impression. 42% have an unfavorable impression, with 28% having a very unfavorable impression. Now, the crosstabs had a lot of surprises. First up, race. And Fox News, the same Fox News that's a popular target by mainstream competitors for its race baiting, anti-black narratives, and even for being outright racist propaganda, is viewed favorably by pretty much just as many black voters as white ones. And Hispanic and other race voters are right there with them. Want another surprise? Here are the age numbers. And Fox News is far and away viewed more favorably by 18 to 39-year-olds than older voters. There are probably a bunch of reasons for this, not least of which is that older voters might be more likely to be angry about the Tucker fallout, among other things. But more on that later. Still, I wonder how the network will view these results. Hard to stomach that their results are low in what is probably their main demographic, but they have to be at least somewhat encouraged by their responses among younger Americans. Though keep in mind, favorability ratings don't necessarily equate to hours watched. But here's another surprise, and believe it or not, Fox News is rated favorable almost as much among Democrats as among Republicans. Now, I'm old enough to remember how absolutely vilified Fox has been by Democrat leaders, most notably Barack Obama. But 25% of Democrats have a very favorable opinion, and 50% an overall favorable opinion. Only 36% of them say very unfavorable. Why is this? Now, one might theorize happiness about the firing of Tucker, but as you're going to see, that's not the case. Maybe they're starting to branch out into other news sources, as MSNBC and CNN seem to be struggling to keep up to Fox. But look at the Republican numbers. They have the most favorable impression of Fox News. But as a gauge, these numbers are overall 15 points less than Trump's favorability among Republicans, and the very favorable numbers here are almost 30 points less than Trump's. These numbers essentially make Fox the Kevin McCarthy of conservative news channels. Here are the favorability numbers for Tucker Carlson, and they're higher than Fox's by quite a bit. Overall favorability is 7 points higher, and unfavorability is 8 points lower. But probably the most important is his very favorable numbers are an incredible 12 points higher than Fox's. Now, Tucker has probably been about equally vilified as Fox News, and Fox News has the benefit of decades of built-up brand equity. So the truth is, his numbers probably shouldn't be higher here, but they are. Is it because of the firing? Is it because of his apparent willingness to take on issues that pretty much no one else will in mainstream journalism? We should know on some of our polling topics, he's been the only mainstream coverage. But my guess, this shows the power of personal trust as part of the corporate news equation. People want to consume news from someone they feel they're comfortable isn't lying to them. Based on these numbers, it can be reasonable to think that Tucker's brand is more trusted than Fox News. And that's interesting since, at least at some point, Fox's slogan included the words, "most trusted." Now, Tucker is considered most favorable almost across the board. We'll get into where he does better and worse compared to his former employer. But first, here are the race numbers, again showing pretty incredible support for someone the orthodoxy has previously called racist. He actually leads by a substantial margin with black voters, doing far better than Fox News. Now, the black sample is 13% of this poll, and likely subject to quite a bit of noise, but nonetheless, the fact remains that statistically, if I continue to poll on this, Tucker's going to be doing pretty well with black voters. Post your theories why in the comments. Here again is age, and Tucker actually does pretty much the same as Fox News in the 18 to 39-year-old bracket. That to me is a clue they're maybe not paying attention here to what's going on. But look at older voters. the total favorable numbers are about 10 points higher across the board, and the very favorable numbers are up double digits here. 40 to 64-year-olds are up almost 20 points over Fox News. If you want to know what I think is the worst signal for Fox anywhere in the crosstabs, it's probably this. Now to party. 72% of Republicans have a favorable impression of Tucker Carlson, 10 points higher than Fox. And their very favorable numbers for Tucker is 44%, 17 points higher than Fox. His total unfavorable number is only 21% compared to 33% for Fox. These numbers are getting close to Trump's favorability among Republicans, but still not quite there. But for those of you who think that maybe Democrats' overall favorability for Fox News is up, look at the numbers here. They're basically flat, so we're not getting a signal of happiness that Tucker's being fired. Now let's compare Tucker and Fox by demographic, and I'm going to use very favorable here since it's the best gauge of strong feelings. Here are the top and bottom of the list. Tucker Carlson is viewed very favorably, an astounding 35 points more than Fox among Biden strong disapprovers. Lower 20s more among black voters and conservatives, as well as some of the blue-collar demographics, and 18 and 17 points respectively more among middle-aged voters and Republicans. Like I said before, he's at about parity with liberals and Democrats, and the only three demographics that view Fox News more very favorably than Tucker Carlson are upper income earners and Biden approvers. So in my opinion, these questions are kind of a leftist test. Isn't it interesting that you can use the relative opinions about two conservative news media mainstays as a way to separate out the leftists? Tucker Carlson recently left Fox News Channel. Will the departure of Tucker Carlson make Fox News better or worse? 32% say worse, and 19% say better. 41% say it'll still be about the same. Now, these numbers look pretty terrible for Fox. Keep in mind that most of those saying better or staying about the same might not actually be watching Fox. Also note that although the next slide will show some really bad news for Fox, these numbers aren't quite yet at Bud Light levels of bad. Because of Dylan Mulvaney, 19% also said they'd be drinking more Bud Light, but 40% said less. Here are the age numbers, and even though 18 to 39-year-olds were about equally likely to say they had a favorable impression of Fox and Tucker, they say better over worse by a 2-to-1 margin. But look at everyone else. Again, the Fox audience definitely skews older, and it's almost a 4-to-1 margin against Fox News here. The race numbers are also surprising. It could somewhat be luck of the draw here, but black voters are 10-to-1 against Tucker leaving Fox, and white voters are only slightly more likely to say his departure will make Fox worse. Democrats say better, but only by an 11-point margin, and a plurality abstain. But the Republican numbers, again, show some pretty bad news for Fox. 47% to 13%, Republicans say Tucker's firing will make Fox News worse, not better. Who's happiest and angriest about Tucker's firing? Biden's strong approvers and incomes over $200,000 are happiest by about a 7-to-1 margin, while Biden's strong disapprovers are angriest by 68% to only 2%. And black voters, middle incomes, and middle ages aren't far behind. Did these numbers spur any strong reactions? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on YouTube. Please consider supporting us by following us on Twitter, signing up for a daily email update of all our polls at our website, rasmussenreports.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Clicking the thumbs up button on the video also gives us a better chance of being seen by more people. And thanks for watching.